can now turn our attention to the last major amphibious campaign of World War II, and possibly, even hopefully, of all time. Certainly never again will thousands of Americans be sent ashore in small boats, traveling at 10 knots, to face landmines, machine guns, mortar, and artillery fire. For that matter, even the invasion for Okinawa was less terrifying than the ones like at Normandy, because the Japanese by this time were confining their real fighting to their multiple defense lines further inland. The true story of Okinawa was the land campaign and the kamikazes. Not surprisingly, the kamikazes were back with even greater vengeance than earlier at Luzon. The invasion of Okinawa was a necessity. The American top brass had pretty much concluded that nothing short of an invasion of the Japanese home island would drive the Japanese out of the war. Subsequent interviews of Japanese confirmed that even though the leaders and many of their subjects knew Japan had lost the war, they had no intentions of giving up without that final, honorable, last-ditch bloodletting. The Japanese attitude is best summed up in the words of the war minister, who said that it was better that the 20 million Japanese die than consider surrender. Therefore, the challenge for the Americans was to select and then capture the best possible island to be used as a springboard to Japan itself. Okinawa was selected because it was only 350 miles from the tip of the home island of Kyushu. It had suitable sites for plenty of airfields and storage dumps. It was to be the last major island invaded, even if it hadn't been for the atomic bomb, about which the leaders in the Pacific knew nothing about. The invasion of Okinawa was an amphibious operation, larger than anything previously mounted against the Japanese. There were approximately 548,000 men of the Army, Navy, and Marines would be participating. There were 318 combatant ships and 1,139 auxiliaries, including amphibious craft, which were involved. By the end of May, a total of 111 LSMs had arrived at Okinawa. At this time, the fleet was under the command of Admiral Spruance, and therefore was named the Fifth Fleet. Vice Admiral Richmond Kelly Turner was the commander of the amphibious forces in the Pacific and was to be in charge of the operation until the beachhead was established. Admiral Turner was a controversial figure, but he was also very gifted. He pushed through the idea of proceeding the landings on Okinawa with the seizure of a small chain of islands 15 miles west of the southwest tip of Okinawa, known as Kerama Retto. Kerama Retto was wanted as a sheltered anchor for elements of the fleet. The concept was very sound as things turned out. Ships were able to come here for fuel, ammunition, supplies, and above all, repairs of damages caused by the kamikazes. The job of capturing these half-dozen islands fell to Task Group 51.1, known as the Western Island Attack Group. It was under the command of Rear Admiral Ingo Kendland and carried the 77th Infantry Division. There were 9 LSMs assigned to this task unit. The Expeditionary Forces Floating Reserve had 10 LSMs. Because there were no sites on these islands suitable for airfields, the Japanese could imagine no reason why the Americans would want them, and therefore did not build any defense on them. The Americans began their landing early on March the 26th, and by afternoon of the next day, the islands had been essentially secured, with little loss of life.